We're back to the Neil Haley Show. My guest today is Mirabai Devi. She's a spiritual healer, teacher, podcaster, and author. Mirabai, thanks for stopping by. And we're going to kind of go into, you've talked about in different shows, different types of things you do to help heal people. You can go to retreats, you can do all these different things, but we're going to discuss the difference between a private retreat, mentorship, and a private retreat, private mentorship, and what are the three areas we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about what the difference is between a personal session and a private retreat and a mentorship program. And thanks, Neil, for having me on your show. So a private session is a one-on-one, typically a one-time opportunity, although most people do one time. There are people who do it every week, and some people do it twice a week. And it creates a 1 hour block where you're able to go in and work on a particular thing. So let's say you have a backache, a neck ache, a stomach ache, an accident, and you've injured a ligament or a bone, or you have a torn muscle, or you're dealing with, a condition, a health condition, or you're in a conflict in a relationship, or you want to manifest a baby, a house, more money. You want to manifest your business to go really well. You want to make a really difficult court case go away, or you want to work with having better communication, clearing up your throat chakra, or you want to release anxiety or fear or something like that. A private session just uses the tools of mapping out, on a causal level, what's causing it, where's it coming from, and then working on it. Usually in that time, I would choose something like we may do a soul retrieval. We may do a subconscious mind reprogramming. We may clear a past life. We may clear a lineage pattern. We may do a light transmission. Almost everybody gets a light transmission because it raises the vibration or the vibratory frequency, giving us the energy, the light accessible in our mitochondria, in the cells of our body, to erase the negative memories, to remove the pain, and to move us into having enough energy to heal ourselves and to manifest what we want to create. That's a short-term thing, right? You get a session, you feel better, you've worked through something, but you want to do more work on yourself. Now you want to do more work on yourself, you're going to come and you're going to join a retreat, right? A retreat is going to be like a 5-day program. And in a 5-day program, you're going to get to work every single day, hour and a half a day, every other day. You can do it weekly, once a week, whatever it is. It has to be 5 times minimum. And during that time, we're doing a deep dive and we're mapping out what's going on and then clearing it so that when the next session ends, we go to the next issue. When that session ends, we go to the next issue. So every time we're going into deeper and deeper issues, clearing what's underneath them so that you're making a lot more progress on a fast track than you are making just with a one-on-one session. And it's intensive. So people are coming in, they're working on huge health issues that they've been dealing with, traumatic experiences where they've been to every doctor, no one's able to help them, or they're facing some traumatic health disease that could be an impending death, or they're dealing with wanting to awaken consciousness and become awakened, or they're stuck in very, very heavy, deep negative energy and they just can't break out of it. And I'm helping them to break through the negative energy for life. So those kinds of things have to have time to get in there with the grace of the divine light and all the tools that we have available, like, for example, psychic surgery, soul retrieval, chakra healing and clearing, causal readings into intuitive readings into the causal layer or level, past life regression, accessing the Akashic records, removing negative energies or entities, clearing the cause of diseases or physical pain, taking physical pain out of the body, healing injuries, working through negative self-attitudes, reprogramming the subconscious mind, creating spiritual practices to do that on a consistent basis, mantras, prayers, affirmations, guided visualizations, deep past life regression work that people can continue doing on themselves, and so forth, empowering the individual to come to the point where they are in a new day. They're so much stronger after those 5 sessions that they're now able to say, okay, I've cleared that layer, I've cleared that issue, I've cleared that level. I'm going back to my life to integrate. And it can take a year, it can take 3 months. Some people are on the fast track. They do retreat after retreat after retreat because they've cleared so much karma that they can't even like wait to get to the next retreat, because they want to clear more and more and more karma, because people understand that they don't want to wait till after this lifetime to clear it, because you want to clear it in the now, in this lifetime. And then you go to a mentorship program. Well, a mentorship program is done in a group, and it's more of a smaller dose for people that, they don't want to get a private session. They don't want to invest in a 5-day retreat, but they want to spend, they want to spend a month where they're part of a group where they can slowly, systematically get a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more addressed every week throughout that month, so that they're making progress, they're aware of things, they've mapped out things, they've received some answers, some solutions, some deep healing, but now they're ready after that mentorship program to go to the next phase or the next stage, which would be like going into a guided soul journey program or a mentorship program. That would be the next stage, or going into a retreat. So mentorship program is like the next step or the next level for people before they, take on the commitment to go into a really deep, long reprogramming program, like a mentorship or a retreat program with me as the teacher and the guide. And so that's sort of like where people learn to say, okay, this is accurate. I'm getting results. I'm experiencing the difference. I feel much better. I want to do more.
Oh, that's great. So you're really kind of delving into things, as we talked about, in so many different situations, but you're able to read people. You're able to understand. How do you able to read them, especially when you have conversations with them, to figure out what is really going on?
I'm a seer, Neil. So I see things on the causal body level. I see things in the etheric body. I see things in the subconscious mind. I read people's thoughts. I'm able to see what's going on underneath. In fact, I'm usually able to access emotions people can't even access themselves. And I'm able to feel deeper than they can feel themselves in their own bodies. And so that's part of being an intuitive, a sensitive. And that's my tool. My tool is I feel it in myself, and I'm able to hear it and see it. And then I'm able to deliver that message to people. And then they can say, well, that's right. That's true. How did you know that? Nobody knows that about me. Or I didn't even know that about myself, but I feel it's true.
How are you? So you have to ask us how quickly can you figure out and see things through people?
I always transmit light into people first, because transmitting light illuminates them. And once they're illuminated, I can see exactly what's going on in them. One has to be illuminated to get to see all the details, because it's very detailed. And you see layer after layer after layer. After you see one thing, the next thing comes. And sometimes in one session, you get a set of information, and then you set that aside, go in another session, and then there's way different or more information, and it just keeps going down the rabbit hole, because every time the guidance is deeper, every time you're shown more things. So you're only able to see as much as that person is able to go on that journey with you at any one given moment. And there's always the balance. You have to be careful, because sometimes when you see too much, you're going to freak somebody out. You don't want to freak them out, because my goal is not to make anybody feel uncomfortable, but to have them work with me hand in hand as a partnership, so that together we can address things that people are ready to address. And if they're not ready to address it, then get ready, because these things are going to happen in their lives, and we're preventing them from happening. And so if they're negative things, they're grateful, because now they're being averted, they're being prevented, the karma is being mitigated, so they don't have to go through so much pain and suffering as a result, because that help has come in advance before it has to get so bad or get that bad.
So you're able, so what do you, through the light, how do you do that? Are you able to tell us that? How you use the light, or is that more because you teach other people light transmission in other types of workshops? So you really can't get into that, right? That's something you have to.
Well, yeah, it's the advanced training is the Lightworker apprenticeship program. I have a Lightworker training school, and the Lightworker training school is to train light workers and to activate them in the light and to get them used to having a lot of light transmitted into them all the time whenever they show up for a class, and to raise them so far into the light that eventually by osmosis they're starting to learn how to transmit light themselves. They're learning how to live in the light themselves. And then they, after years, they get to an apprenticeship level, and I'm able to take them into training on how to do that for others. But it's a very, very precarious thing. When you transmit light into people, you get all the negative energy comes back into you from that person. Now you got to transmute it. How do you transmute it? Well, you have to be an expert at transmutation. There are many tools to transmute that energy. So you transmute it. It's like you push in light, out comes the darkness. You transmute the darkness clears, the person's light, your light. Everybody's happy. But it's a process, right? It's just like Tonglen in the Buddhist tradition. You breathe in the suffering and you breathe out the light. You breathe out the bliss. You breathe out the prana. You breathe out the divine energy. That's the Tonglen practice. That's what somebody like me, a spiritual teacher, is doing, is they're taking the negativity, the darkness, the pain, the suffering of the world, of the individual, and transmuting it, pulling it out of them and transmuting it and putting it back into them as light, as positivity, as hope, as many things, so that the suffering and the pain is gone.
It's important to have intuition, isn't it? For everyone, not just someone like you, but everyone should practice intuition, right?
Yes, I think that I need to teach more classes on intuition. That's a great idea. That's the next class. Because the thing is, it's that intuition is something that everybody has.
Right.
And psychic knowing is something everybody has, but people block those senses, they block those abilities, and they're shut down. So we don't have the access to it. But if you train people, they're like, oh, that's how you, oh, yeah, I know how to do
Yeah.
that.
One of the meditations say intuition is the voice of God. And if we don't follow our intuition at the beginning, whatever we hear or an idea we come up with, we need to go with. We don't let the second our second thoughts go with something. When it first comes to us, we need to jump on it in intuition.
Right, right. And I teach that in my higher self exercise, that you've got to take the first answer that comes and just keep going with it, because otherwise you'll wait forever for an answer and you may not ever get it if you're looking for something. But actually, our inner voice, our higher self, is the deepest, innermost part of ourself that we've always known, that's always been there with us. So we trust that and we build that muscle. The more we flex that muscle, the more we build that muscle. The more we build that muscle, the more intuitive we are, the more access we have to our higher self, the more our higher self speaks through us, the more we're able to give guidance, the more we're able to avert danger, disaster, negativity. Trust me, if somebody shows up at a car accident, a train accident, an airplane accident, and there's a death that happens, there has to be a soul contract. There are no accidents on the earth plane in any realm. Nothing is by accident. Everything is co-created from a level that we've chosen in advance through a contract. So we have to look at that contract. That's the contracted hour of our death. And that's one of the work pieces that I do with people, is I look at people's death windows where there's some possible times that they may be exiting, and look at what the karma is to mitigate it, or if that's appropriate. Sometimes it's not appropriate. We're given several different opportunities to exit. And sometimes when we work through the karma from other lifetimes or this lifetime, we don't have to exit at those timelines. We can exit at a much later timeline that's more appropriate for us. Not that I'm saying that people don't leave young. Some people are done and they need to get somewhere else. They've got to go somewhere else, because our life after life after life cycle creates that. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. If you've got somewhere else you need to be, lessons you need to learn, another life you need to incarnate in, whether it's physical or non-physical, you're going to jump, right? But that's part of the work I've been talking about with you about timeline jumping. Now we're talking about death window exits. And those karmic influences can be mitigated to help sometimes not have to take the first one or even the second one, but ones later down the road, because maybe now you're ready to stay longer in a body because you've learned more of your lessons. You've mitigated more of the karma. You don't have to take on another 10 bodies or 20 bodies to mitigate that karma from your past lives.
All right. Best place to go are two places, right, Mirabai?
Yes. The places to go are apoweroflove.com/store or mirabaidevi.org. Go to the store page, or you can also contact us at 760-216-1029 or info@mirabaidevi.org is our email address. You can text or email, contact us, and that is for private sessions, mentorship programs, and private retreats.
All right, Mirabai, we appreciate it. You're listening and watching the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.